Hi, this is on imagination. One moment, the math is really bothering me. I'm like, no, 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 no. Why is oh, thank God, that's better. I have this grid. I have this grid behind me so I can see when it's not aligned. Hi, this is on imagination with the Healing Garden. We are talking this morning about math, research, data, statistics, analysis inside a business, and why this is not sufficient. I was going on one of my old videos and I was listening to myself explain my very unusual and rare history on education. And I basically had 20 years. My first 20 years of my life was being taught by 4 master educators and 3 philosopher masters. Very, very rare education. This is also while I supplemented it with Plato's curriculum and the Greek educational system. So my education is one of a kind. And after studying for 20 years, mastered skills, mastered subjects, I also, because this is the curriculum of Plato, mastered theater, stage, writing, art, communication. And then from there, I entered the business field with a very unusual plan. I had my first job, and what I wanted to know was how businesses work. So that was the agenda. So for 20 years, I did nothing else but literally have very small jobs on all kinds of ranges in every kind of business to see how business worked. I got a job for no other purpose than to never to learn any skill. Actually, I did that too, but it was primarily to learn how every single business in the entire world works and on what level. So by the time I was done, I walked away with such a vast amount of knowledge on how businesses work. I always got close to the owner, and I always took advantage of asking the highest person up on every chain, no matter where I worked, questions about business operations and all of it, the whole gambit. I asked every manager, I made relationships. I literally had relationships with every manager, every department, and every owner. And I would always introduce myself, and then I would go in and I would sit down and I would have a 30-minute, 1-hour conversation on what their job was. I'm like, I want to know what you do. I want to know what your job is. This was normal for me. I cannot tell you how normal this is for me, where I have a job, they have somebody new come in, I walk up and I introduce myself and I say, hi, I would love to talk to you about your job. What do you do? And they show me the statistics, they show me the numbers, they show me the data. And then I was an author, well, am an author, and I published and wrote books for 10 years. I'm an award-nominated author. So I'm now sitting here and I've owned 5, let me get the numbers here right. I have owned 5 businesses and 4 companies. They are different. And I walked away with all of this knowledge with this grand oversight. So now I'm sitting here writing up my newsletter on power economics. I am writing out all this information on everything, on what exactly a business owner's job is when a business suffers, and how this relates to life, and how your life, no matter what you are doing, is actually a business. We have the business of life. And I noticed that the people who are most successful in life ran and operated their lives exactly like a business, including their households, which is our key to success, is we use the same operations of business and apply it to our life. And what that ends up doing is it allows you to practice business operations on well, I can't say it's low risk because you fuck this up. Yeah, you don't fuck it up because your livelihood depends on it, quite literally. And then I just transferred those skills on over to the business world. So when I built my business, it was no different than running a household. They were the exact same process. And any home manager Every homemaker, quote unquote, will tell you that homemaking is business. And the ones who are the most proficient at it are business owners, are the ones who figured this out. So this is the education that you were not told when you were a child. By the way, making a home and running a life is actually running a business. It's the exact same skills. So I'm sitting here looking at statistics. Now, I am a number cruncher. I love data. You give me the option of, what do you want to do today? Do you want to sit in the lab and look at the statistics, or do you want to go out on the field trip? Give me the numbers. Give me the numbers, put me in a lab and leave me alone. I just want to look at the data. I want to run trajectory. I love the numbers. So I am going to be saying this as a number cruncher, telling you how much I love statistics. They are not enough. They are 1/3 of your business pulse. So we're going to call this your business vitals. Now, business owners know this, that your vitals of your business tell you, how is your business doing? And it's literally your blood pressure, your heart rate, and your sugar levels. Like, these are your business vitals. The statistics is only 1/3 of it. And this is where a lot of the attention goes, is what are the numbers doing? The numbers are like the cliff notes of the story. And that's really it. The numbers are the cliff notes. Now, then there's the old adage, numbers don't lie. No, numbers do not lie. They do not. But what numbers don't do is tell you the full story. They show you what is going on, but they don't show you why. The why your business is failing or succeeding comes from your network, your business network. With all the research I have done, with everything I have put into business, with my 20 years of going on all these different jobs and doing all the research I did, one common denominator came through on all of it. Every single time, consistently, 100% of the time. Not a single business owner even looked at their business network. Not one. Not a single one of them. I saw corporate C executives not doing anything with their network. I saw home startups doing nothing with their network. I saw no one doing anything with their network. I have worked with billionaire companies, the largest plastic company in the world. I have worked with millionaires, billionaires, impoverished startups. Not one did this. The network is nourishing the community network in your business so that people are actually plugged into your business. You don't do this, and your employers are not working for you. They are working against you. You don't do this, and your employees are going to quit on the dime. They're going to do shitty work. They're going to walk away from you without even hesitating. You're going to have high turnover. You're going to have a problem elevating your business on equal footing. A business sits on pedestals, and it is the business owner's job. The business owner has 2 jobs. The business owner has 2 jobs, just 2. 2. The first job of the business owner is to ensure that the 3 pedestals that holds up the business are growing and nurturing equally at the same time. I worked in construction. I need to amend that. I grew up on construction sites. I was 8 doing deconstruction and demolition, literally in real estate. My family was literally an entire family of constructors. So we would go in, we would completely demolish and rebuild from the ground up. We would lay foundation. We did it all. My father was the electrical, the plumber. It's probably why I have the mind that I do on seeing the big pictures, because my family was a family of engineers. My family name is Chrysler. We know a thing or two about engineering and building. So I grew up with it since I was 4 or 5 years old. 2 years old, I grew up with there being electrical wiring and my father saying, put your hand in the hole and pull out the wire as I fish the wire through the wall. That was my childhood. I swear, my father, we actually joked about this, that my father had children just so he would have people with hands small enough to fish wires through the wall so he could do electrical wiring. So we, my first physics lesson was my father doing solder work on plumbing, and he's sitting there using a torch to cut through a pipe, and then he hands it to me, and I do this with a pipe. And that was, oh, look at that, metal conducts heat. That was one of my first physics lesson. I was 8. So when you have this insight, one of the things you see is raising a foundation. Did you know that you can raise up a foundation and elevate an entire building from the ground up? It's amazing to see. So I've seen it done twice. It is a great feat of construction. So here's how it works. You have to put 4 supports. 5 is ideal, but you have to put at least 4 supports at each corner of the building. They have to be mathematically precise, and then you lift. When you lift, you have to make sure that every single degree of lifting is elevated, stays the same, and is equal 100% of the time when you elevate. You elevate, you pour the foundation sets, and then you put the house back down. That's one thing you can do. You can elevate and then build an entire floor and then set it onto the new foundation of the floor. I've seen this done twice. It is extraordinary. A business is exactly like that. This is how you grow business, is you have 3 pedestals that must grow at the same time. If you do not have these growing at the same time, you're gonna have a problem. And this is when businesses fall and the whole thing tumbles down. This is why businesses fail before they hit 5 years. It's because the business owner does not know that your only job is to make sure that each pedestal nurtures and grows equally at the same time, rising up. They must grow equal. One area cannot outgrow the other. When that happens, it falls. You have to study power economics to understand that. So when the business rises up, that's the first thing. Then you reach an elevation point where you now have to change tiers. If you don't know how to change tiers, I have seen this, your business is going to topple. Changing tiers means you might start off doing everything at the bottom, and you do. You start off doing everything at the bottom, so that when you graduate to the next level, you have to stop doing distribution. You have to stop doing manufacturing. You have to stop doing management. To an extent, we're going to cover this. You have to elevate it to the next level. Now, there's times to stop doing this and times to do other things. But ultimately, there are 2 tasks that you will never stop doing. You're going to literally shed off all the other tasks and leave you ultimately with just 2. Now, the next tier, same thing. You have to make sure you rise it up, equally growing all the points of the pedestals. And then you have to switch gears, change your own job position, and then shed off all the excess, leaving you ultimately with 2 positions. And you have to do this over and over again. There's 4 tiers of business building. At the top tier, you're left with only 2 positions. And that is, you are making sure that the pedestals are rising up. Now, once you get to the full expansion up, then you can span out this way. And this is when you see growth expansion. This is how you elevate, grow a business, is literally up and then this way. If you grow this way, well, hello, Rome. This is how Rome fell, is they span too far this way. You have to elevate up and then out, literally a pyramid. But you can't do this, because if you do this, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a pyramid that looks like that. And that's not a full proper support. It'll fall down. Literally, you have to grow up and then you have to expand out this way. So the second job that a business owner does, and this is the one that I have never seen a business owner do, not one, is you have to nurture your societal network. That's it. You have to nurture your network. It is extraordinary how none of them do this. It's amazing. Now, you cannot be around human beings without there being a network in place. So if you have a business, you are naturally going to have a network. It's called well, if you are an entrepreneur, you have to build your own. But if you walk into a company of someone else's, it's a done-for-you network. However, not one of them even looked at it, acknowledged it, took its temperature, Nothing. Now, when you pull math, statistics, and all your data and research, that is 1/3 of your business. The other third is your actual communication, where you talk to everybody to figure out what's going on. Now, there's going to be a lot of people going, well, but I do that. There is sufficient data and insufficient data. So we're going to talk about the parent-child relationship for a minute. This is what a lot of parents get wrong. You don't talk to your child. You don't know how to connect with your child. Your child turns 12, 13, 14. You decide, oh God, I have to have the talk with my child. You have a strained relationship. So you decide to sit down and have the talk with the child. You have not talked to this child in 12, 13 years, but now you're going to talk about sex. The child immediately is like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is uncomfortable. And immediately they shut down and they break down. Sometimes it's just we're not going to talk about it. You have a very strained relationship. Now we're going to talk about something really uncomfortable and intimate. And then you have parents going, yeah, my kids don't talk to me. Well, yeah, that's right. You have not nurtured the network. So there's two kinds of networks. There's the kind where they only talk about important stuff when it's vital and an emergency. And then there's building the relationship. Not one business builds the relationship. Not one. They only talk about the problems and the emergency. They only have the sex talk. That's it. That's what a lot of people do. They only have the sex talk. Oh, there's a problem. So now, and I remember being in businesses, every single business did this. Oh, the boss is here. There must be a problem. Where was it? There was something in it. There was, I can't remember what movie it was, where, oh yes, it was Inside Out. It was Inside Out. The mother comes in to tell the daughter that, and anger, anger says, oh, here's mom, it's the bad news train. And the mother comes in and she says, bad news, the truck's not going to be here. And he goes, doot, doot. There you go. Bad news train. That is how most people communicate. They only talk when they have bad news. That's not nourishing your network. There is another side to it, a whole nother side that is not being practiced. And that is the part that's going to determine your relationships with your people. Here's the other thing that is greatly lacking. This is very much the American mindset. It goes back to the 40s with the whole, thank you, Kennedy, the whole ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That is such garbage. That is such self-destructive, self-loathing garbage. Have you forgotten that the only reason why the government exists to begin with is because of the people? Now let's go into a business. Businesses are not there for anyone's luxury. The people do not serve a business. The business serves the people. Without the people, the business is done. Without the people, the business don't exist. The people have far more options available to them. When I walked into a business and I interviewed, I was never there begging for a job going, please hire me. Oh, no. I made it very clear. And I told them this. I am not here to be interviewed. I am here to interview you. I've got 5 other offers on the table. I am literally going through and trying to figure out which one of you I want. And I know they had 20 other candidates. I also know that I was the best, which is why I literally got a job on Wall Street on a dime with like no history or ability because, well, I had ability, but it's because I can literally get any damn job I want because I know my value. So when I research, when I interview for a job, when I was in that stage of my life, I could walk in and I'm like, I'm here to interview you. I can get any job I want. And in fact, I did. Like I got a job it's so easy for me to get a job because I know how to do it, because it's all about network, because it's about skill building, because it's about strategy. It's about planning. Once you have these skills, you can get a job anywhere. The business is at the mercy of the employee. The business is at the mercy of the people. And the businesses who struggle are the ones who don't know this, are the ones who think like Kennedy's government, where you serve us. No, you don't. The people do not serve the business, which is the concept of the customer is always right, because the customer will make or break your business, depending upon your ethics, your network, your everything. The mindset of the people changes so that they decide that ethics matter, and you had better change with what the people want or your business won't thrive. You are at the mercy of what the people want. And that's why we follow trends. That's why we follow the buying. But at the end of the day, when it comes to connecting with your employees, when it comes to connecting with your staff, and here's the other part of all of this, it's all about communication. Now, if you are not connecting and communicating with your network, you are teaching your employees that they don't need to connect with your patrons. So there's this massive catch-22 that I saw in every single business, where the business owner treated the staff like they were estranged until they wanted or needed something. And then the staff treated the patrons like they were estranged until they wanted or needed something, because that's what the business owner did. It was extraordinary to see. Whatever the business owner does and treats the staff repeats and treats the patrons. So if you don't treat your staff and your employees the way you want your staff to treat your patrons, it's going to come back to you, because they will mirror that and project it. That's human psychology. That is 100% human psychology. There's two mindsets. And if you don't know human psychology and how this plugs into power economics, you're screwed. So here's the lesson. We live off of mimic, mirror, repetition, response, and application. It's called reinforcement. So there is mimic, it's basically role model, and then reinforcement. So here is how it works. This is human learning 101. Child sees mom do A, child does A. Mom will either reward or punish child for doing A, reinforcing the lesson. Now, there's only two ways this is going to go. Only two ways. This is mathematical physics here. This is how it's going to go. Let's say mom smokes, child sees mom smoke, child smokes. Mom scolds child for smoking. The other example, mom rewards child for smoking. That, unfortunately, is an actual living example that I have seen. So this is what happens. That the child who actually smoked with the approval of the mother was actually healthier mentally than the other one. So in the example where mom set the example, A, child did A, mom rewarded, equal footing. Equal footing. That mother taught the child that they are equal and that there was no hierarchy. And the child respected the mother. Now you have respect. That's where respect comes from. Equal footing. In the other example, this is what happened. Mom does A, child does A, mom scolds for A. Now you have hierarchy. This teaches the child, oh, I have to go find someone else to bully and then project that information on and then look down to them. So now you have a ladder, a condescending ladder of hierarchy where you have the upper hand, punishment for the mimicry response, which is our natural learning. So you reinforce the lesson over here of, yes, you are supposed to have a role model, and you did a great job with the role model, which is what Mother Nature does for us. We do role model learning. Over here, it's you did the role model learning, you did exactly what I did and said, and now I'm going to punish you for it. And when I punish you, I'm going to teach you that the biggest bully wins. Now, rule number one of biggest bully wins, you can never abuse up, you have to abuse down, because you've got the upper hand. So the upper hand always abuses the disadvantage. The advantage always abuses the disadvantage. That's the lesson. So the person at the disadvantage then seeks out somebody at a lower disadvantage and they abuse them. That is what happens when you reinforce with contradiction. That is 100% what happens. So now taking this over into the business model, if you have a equal footing with your with your staff and with your employees, they're going to respect you. And they're going to mirror that of, oh, there is no hierarchy. There is no one at an advantage. There is no one over me, and I have to go look for someone smaller to dictate. It's a dictatorship, and these are your choices. You either have a dictatorship or you have equal footing. And if you rule with that dictatorship upper hand, they will project that and put it onto the patrons, and they will talk down to the patrons. So now, if you are ruling your business like a dictator, then your staff is going to rule your patrons like a dictator, which is exactly where you get dirty sales. It's where you get unethical business practice. I see a lot of businesses do this. The other side is that equal footing, where when the business owner is on the same level, equal to, working right alongside with everybody, now you've got that respect back and forth, and that gets projected into the patrons, and they come into the family. This is what community and family is. In order to pull this off, you have to nurture your network in the good times and not just the bad. You have to do this. It was absolutely extraordinary. If it's a punishment mindset of, we're going to cut costs, we're going to do this. I had one example that I saw where it was not a small business. It was a large business, but it was tightly run family business. And I watched them abuse their employees by cutting pay, by firing people to set an example. It was highly tyrannical, and it was amazing to watch. They were very good people, but they were number crunchers, and they would watch the numbers, and they would rise and bet. Oh my God, this is so 1929 depression in the stock market crash. Same psychology. You're watching the numbers, you're panicking because you're losing control, and so you react. And you react lashing out at the staff. That's when they got cut. That's when people were fired. That's when pay was cut, the whole 9 yards. And the more they did that, the morale lowered and the statistics lowered. So they did it again. So it became a cycle of abuse the staff's morale drops, the mathematical numbers dropped, they abused the staff, the numbers dropped with morale, they abused the staff, numbers dropped with the morale. And it was all because the owner was running this is common. The owner was running their entire business on their emotions. Numbers are only 1/3 of your business. The other third of the business is the network health. The other part of the business is your own skill at nurturing the 3 different pedestals so they rise at the same time equally to keep the equal footing. And that's it. That's it right there. Every business that succeeded had this part mastered, but not one was doing anything with that nourishing network. Not one. Which is why every single one of them had communication errors. There was one business, and by the way, the worse you are at the communication, the harder you have to work to get this. And you have to become a real hard ass to get this balanced if you are not nurturing your network. Because now your work that goes into raising that pedestal on equal footing has to be quadrupled to make up for the lack of your nourished network. It's the difference between you doing all the work to raise up those pedestals or nurturing the people with ease to make sure they rise up the pedestals for you. Not because you own them, but because they care about you so much that they're now invested into your business, so they are raising up the pedestals for you. One business owner works their ass off, the other doesn't. The other nurtures the people in such a way that the people will raise the business for the business owner. But business owners aren't doing that. So the business owner is literally, imagine they've got 3 chains over their shoulder and they are single-handedly raising those pedestals up. And they're not bothering to nurture the community who can raise the pedestals for them. You're talking about a lot of energy spent trying to get the same force that would be very easy if they nourished their network. That is power economics. That is the power of power economics. It is absolutely extraordinary. Thank you so, so much. If you want to activate the next action in this chain reaction, click on the link below. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.